I've been teaching beginner artists for over 6 years now, and one of my favorite things about teaching beginner artists is that it has larger implications on the students' lives. Learning how to draw and being an artist isn't separate from other aspects of your life. So here I want to go over a couple of reasons why learning how to draw will change your life and why drawing isn't separate from everything else. The first reason why learning how to draw can drastically improve your life is because it gives you this opportunity to sit with your own mind and grapple with your own inner voices. The huge advantage of drawing is that it's an activity that you can do in solitude, in silence, without anyone else around. This is a huge advantage that I don't feel like enough people discuss because it's almost a given, but I do think that we need to pay attention to this. In the space that you create when you are drawing, those voices can really become quite loud, and as those voices present themselves, you can question them and ask yourself if you want to hold on to these thoughts. You can sit down and have another piece of paper beside you, right? So have your sketchbook beside you and then another piece of paper, and you can just write down the stories that you're telling yourself as they come up into your mind. And you can ask yourself, do I want to hold on to these stories? Are these inner voices actually helpful, or are they lies that I've been taking in from other people, from external sources? Are there voices from your parents? Are there voices from your teachers that you're so critical that you don't actually believe them, but you've just been carrying them around? You can sit and write those out, and then you can look at the stories that you're telling yourself, and then you can realize that, oh, I don't actually believe this. I've just been holding on to this story because I've been told this by other people. This isn't how I would treat anyone else. I can let go of these stories. You can do this regardless of what your drawing skills are like. You can do this as a beginner. So even if you are someone who's early in your journey, you can start to grapple with your inner voices. This is a big reason why I'm not too concerned of my students becoming great at drawing. Obviously, I like teaching the technical skills of drawing. I have my 54 free drawing exercises that you can check out below. But more importantly, I want my students to grapple with these inner voices because you carry those voices with you in all aspects of your life. You can be a beginner artist and just have fun with drawing for the rest of your life. But if you grapple with these voices and ask yourself questions about which of those voices you want to listen to, you can improve your life in big ways. My life has improved so much from doing this within my drawing practice because the core of where those voices come from stays with you. That core, that emptiness that you maybe feel, or like that critical voice, that desire for perfectionism, that core exists within you no matter where you're going out, right? So you might notice those voices more while you're drawing because you're creating room for it, but those voices are with you all the time. Your art practice isn't that separate from the rest of your life. So the more you are able to grapple with those voices and heal some of those issues and ask yourself critical questions of which of those voices you want to listen to, the less those voices will impact other aspects of your life as well. So this is one of the big things that I focus on heavily in my courses. The reason why I tell a lot of my students to try to work on personal projects and try to challenge yourself a little bit in terms of doing something that feels personal to you is because it gives those voices more room to come up. When you start to write out oh, I want to do this for a personal project, certain voices will be louder because they want to criticize your natural self. And then you can notice those critical voices and you'll be like, oh, actually, I don't want to believe this. I think this is a big reason why a lot of students end up in this trap where they just follow art tutorials forever and they just do drawing exercises forever and forever and never do personal projects. It is because they're so scared of these inner voices. When hearing those inner voices within the drawing practice is the opportunity. Now, this isn't something you're going to change overnight. These are things that you're going to have to grapple with, especially if you are someone who has very loud voices. If you have very critical voices within you, if you are a perfectionist, then those voices will be even louder and they will take even longer to heal. So give yourself time, give yourself plenty of room to make the same mistakes, have those voices come up consistently, give them room within your mind, right? We're not trying to force them out. We're just trying to hear them, be like, okay, I hear you, but I don't want you to be as loud. So this is where writing out your expectations can be tremendously helpful, which I do go through in my inner artist course, but this is something you can do on your own. Write out your expectations, write out those inner voices and ask yourself, do I actually want to hold on to them? The second reason why learning how to draw can drastically improve your life, even as a beginner artist, is because it can help you find clarity around who you are and what you actually care about. The reason why we start our personal projects, regardless of what skill level we're at, right? Even if you're a beginner artist, remember to start your personal projects, because that is really, really important, is because it'll help you sit down and ask yourself the question of, what is it that I care about? What is it that I want to put into the art practice? Now, you don't have to include all aspects of who you are, but it'll help you be more intentional about the things that you care about. What kind of themes in movies do you care about? What kind of themes in life do you care about? What are the topics that you discuss with your friends? What are things that are on your mind consistently? Those things you'll end up including in the art practice to make it feel more personal. That's what makes it a personal project. And that searching and finding answers to these questions helps you find more clarity in all aspects of your life. This is a big reason why art isn't separate from other aspects of life. Like discussing art as if it's like this isolated box when there's all these other aspects of life. That is not how that works. All these other aspects of your life will be included in the art practice, and that is the opportunity. The opportunity around art is developing a personal project, figuring out who you are, what is it that you want to include. And it doesn't have to be anything grandiose. The example that I keep going back to is the taste of coffee. But the way you express, the way you enjoy your coffee is very personal. And the more you are intentional about that in the art practice, the more you can enjoy it outside of the art practice as well. So if you are intentional about, oh, I love the beauty of flowers, and then as you set that clarity and you find that intention within the projects that you create, then you can also include it in other aspects of life. You can be like, okay, well, now I'm going to spend more time in nature because I've realized that I feel so much better about myself. I feel good when I draw things of nature. Then I might as well also spend more time in nature. One thing that I found clarity around is how much I value friends and community. The project that I'm working on right now that you're probably watching right here is based on friendships. It's based on how much I value community, how much I value connection. I spend almost all my energy and time focused on being a better friend and being a better teacher, all to just improve the lives of other people and just be there for people that I care and love for. That is such a big part of why I talk about the mental well-being side of art, because I realized a couple of years ago that I didn't just want to be an art teacher that just teaches the technical skills. Yes, learning how to draw is very useful. I obviously teach the technical skills in my bundles, but more importantly, I want people to explore these personal things because that is what I care about the most. I care about my students actually improving how they feel about themselves through the art practice, and finding clarity and intentions in personal projects impacts all aspects of your life. It'll make things feel better. It will teach you about who you are and what you care about. And as things change over your life, those intentions will change, your values will change. But having that outlet, having drawing as an outlet for that, and a place to search for who you are is so tremendously helpful. It's such a huge part of why doing a personal project can truly change your life. And if you want help with that, check out the Inner Artist course, but obviously you can do that on your own. But just do your personal projects like over and over again. I keep trying to trick my students into like, do your own personal project, give me something small, because this is the opportunity. The opportunity is that you can discover things about yourself, set clear intentions about things that you value, and that will improve your life if you give it the room for it. I know that can be really scary. I know why students try not to do it. I understand why most people want to improve their technical skills before trying their hands on their personal project, but I think that's a huge mistake. I think it's a huge missed opportunity because you do not need to be good at drawing to still explore these questions. You do not need to do a perfect personal project. You don't need to do your perfect comic book to explore these themes. You can do it in very small drawings. You do them in the smallest mini project, right? Like 3 drawings in your sketchbook, and they can just be sketches, loose sketches, but you can still set that intention of wanting to explore the things that you value. And as you do projects, you'll realize which of the things that you think you care about actually have standing power. If a project becomes boring after the first drawing, it might mean that the themes that you're exploring just aren't that interesting to you. And the more you explore that, the easier those answers will become. So try it out, do your own personal projects, and discover things about who you are and what you care about. The third reason why learning how to draw can drastically improve your life is because it teaches you the dance between discipline and inspiration. We want the art practice to be full of joy and enjoyment. We want it to be fulfilling, but at the same time, we need to support that art practice with a certain amount of discipline. But at the same time, we do not want to force the art practice to the point where we lose touch with the muse. You can think about this in terms of your drawing exercises. Yes, do your drawing exercises to improve your skill. That's more of on the discipline side, on the improvement side. But at the same time, you want to use those skills to enjoy the practice. We want to use that to express ourselves, to explore ideas that are fun for us. And that is like more on the inspiration side. So we want to do both, right? This is why in my 54 drawing exercises, I recommend that students find ways to enjoy their exercises. Instead of just forcing yourself to do exercises that you do not enjoy, try to make them fun. A big reason why I tend to draw cute characters in those exercises, the reason why I have cute character designs in my Beginners Toolkit is because that's a way for me to enjoy drawing exercises. I enjoy those drawing exercises so much more if they're cute characters. If I have a little cute log character, then I can draw cylinders in a way that's exciting to me. So like ask yourself questions about how you can enjoy the art practice more, but at the same time, you need to also develop discipline so that you develop an art habit. If you are trying to draw more often, if you are trying to develop your skills over time and finish a personal project this year, if you want to finish a sketchbook this year, you need a certain amount of discipline. You can't just lean into the fun. Like, obviously the joy of drawing will make learning how to draw much easier. It will bring you to the drawing table way quicker. But there are just going to be days where you need to use a little bit of discipline to get to the table. There are days where I need to force myself to sit down and draw, and the first 5 minutes I feel uncomfortable. The first 5 minutes isn't fun, but that first 5 minutes leads into this flow. It leads into the enjoyment of drawing. But I needed the first 5 minutes. I needed the discipline to get to the point of enjoyment. So sometimes you need to learn that dance. You need to go back and forth. On some days, it's going to be more discipline. On some days, it's going to be more about inspiration. And that dance, you can apply to all aspects of your life. If you are someone who's trying to get more fit, if you're trying to go to the gym, you can play with this, right? You can play with the idea of like, okay, I'm going to use a certain amount of discipline to get to the gym, but what exercises should I do while I'm here that I would actually enjoy? Instead of optimizing for the best results, I'm going to optimize for my enjoyment. So I can do the discipline, but also lean into the inspiration and flow. And this dance, you can do in all aspects of your life. Think about your friendships. Think about your relationships. Are you having hard conversations? Are you making time for your friends? But are you doing that in a way that's also fun and enjoyable? This dance is something that you can apply to all aspects of your life. I think there's a huge opportunity to learn this skill within drawing because it's so clear. It's so obvious that like, here are your drawing exercises. Here's you getting to the table. Ask yourself questions about how you can do this more easily for yourself personally, and how can you add more inspiration to this. This dance, this back and forth, is a huge skill to learn, and I think is a meta skill that is quite easy to learn within drawing because it's so clear where that line is. So that is one huge advantage of learning how to draw. Even if you are a beginner artist, you do not need to be great at drawing to learn this skill. The fourth reason why learning how to draw can be tremendously fulfilling is because it'll teach you about surrender and acceptance. Your creative voice is something that flows out of you. The things that you are interested in isn't something that you're really in control of. It's something that comes out of you naturally. And once you notice this, once you notice that like you're not really in control of your drawings, it will teach you how to accept things as they are and how to surrender to this voice. And being able to accept aspects of life, your ability to surrender to the reality that you live within will make life so much easier to live. And I do think that there's this huge opportunity within drawing where you can just make lines on the paper. And what you will notice is that you're not really fully in control of it. You can nudge it, you can nudge where it's headed, but ultimately the things that you're interested in drawing and what you want to draw, a lot of that will just flow out of you naturally. This is something I talk about a lot in the mindful drawing course about like intuitive drawing, where you can just make scribbles on a piece of paper. Like just do that right now. Grab a piece of paper, grab your sketchbook, just make some light scribbles. And what you will notice is that eventually you'll start to see shapes that stand out to you. And you're not in control of that. That just pops into your mind. Like certain lines will just stand out and suddenly you'll see a face or maybe a hand or a leg or a flower or a tree. And things will just pop into your mind. And you're not in control of that process. And the more you learn how to surrender into this process of just making marks and seeing what happens, the more you surrender into this, the more freedom you will find, not only in the art practice, but also in other aspects of life. The more you realize that your own mind, you're not fully in control of it, the more you can surrender into it, accept it as it is, and then nudge it in ways that is healthy, but at the same time allowing it to exist in the way that is beautiful to you. You do not need to have control of all aspects of life. And you can learn this lesson within drawing. I think it's very obvious once you start making lines on paper how little control you actually have. And I know this is a hard lesson to grapple with. I know that a lot of you might disagree with this completely, which is completely fine. If that way of seeing the world doesn't agree with you, then it's completely fine. You do not need to take on this view. But ultimately, I do think that most of your creativity comes from this intuitive place that you're not fully in control of. And the more you allow it to just exist and accept it as it is, the easier your life becomes overall, because you'll resist less parts of your life because you realize how much of your life is just driven by this natural flow, and then leaning into that flow can make life so much easier and so much better. If you want my companionship on your creative journey, check out the Absolutely Everything bundle that includes the Inner Artist course where we grapple with our expectations up front, build a personal project, like a mini personal project, ask yourselves hard questions about what we actually care about. The Mindful Drawing course where we grapple with intuitive drawing. The beginning part of that course is especially useful for beginners. If you've only been drawing for a couple of months or you're just learning how to draw, that beginning section is quite useful for that and like learning how to surrender. And then there's also the Beginners Toolkit where I go over the 54 drawing exercises that you can check out for free below. You can see that video where I go through all of them. But if you want all of the worksheets and access to all that stuff, that's all included in the Absolutely Everything bundle. So I'll see you there when you're ready. But as always, make sure that you enjoy your drawing practice. That is number one thing that matters, regardless of what I said here. And if you don't agree with everything, that's completely fine. But remember to enjoy your art practice. This is ultimately what matters. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.